ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BackPocketGameReviews, and today we're going to talk about the PS1 Classics game lineup. So obviously I had already kind of stated there were a couple of games that I expected on there, and they finally announced that full list, whereas originally they only gave us 5 games, and 5 games out of 20 is really hard to base if you're going to want to buy something off of. Now, keep in mind this does come out next month in December, so you do still have a little bit of time before this is actually going to be purchasable. With that being said, the game lineup is as follows: Battle Arena, Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations Persona, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. So while I wouldn't say that that is overall the greatest list, some of the things that I would have really liked to have seen make it on there are on there. Enough so to make it that I'm probably buying one. Actually, I shouldn't say probably buying one. I already ordered it. Yeah, I couldn't control myself. It was mostly Metal Gear Solid for me. The fact that that's going to be on there, and the fact that that's easily one of the most innovative and creative games of its time, and one of my most memorable gaming experiences as a child. Well, I shouldn't say as a child, I believe I was like 13 when I beat that game, maybe 12. That was a tricky game, by the way. That was a tough bag of beans right there. But it's easily one of those games that when I played it, it was pretty easy to fall in love with. And I played it like right before the PS2 was about to come out. So, Final Fantasy VII, well, that's great and all. I don't dislike or disagree that Final Fantasy VII should be on there. Final Fantasy VII will never be like, oh, this is going to go make me buy this, because I own the PC version and the copy for PS4. So, thanks. I guess another way to play Final Fantasy VII. The original Grand Theft Auto, that was pretty exciting. If you've never played the original Grand Theft Auto, it is a top-down open world shooter. The driving was pretty innovative at the time. It was a lot of fun. There are a lot of games that kind of copy that game style, like the indie game River City Rampage, I believe is what it's called. Pretty sure that's what it's called. It's very similar to an original Grand Theft Auto game, and it's really hard to think of. That's where Grand Theft Auto started, and this is what we get for it now. Rockstar's been making games for a really long time, and they do a very good job at it, so no complaints there. Oddworld's Abe's Odyssey. If you've never played the Oddworld games, they're very bizarre but very good games. Again, I own the entire collection on PC, but it would be nice to play the original Abe's Odyssey again in the way that I originally played it. Munch's Odyssey is still my favorite one, and it's the one that most of you probably remember the best because it's the one that looked like it had a Mountain Dew can as the cover and then Munch's face on the front. It was easily one of the more successful of the Oddworld games as well, and it was an Xbox exclusive at that time. So, the original Rayman, that's kind of cool. I was never a huge Rayman guy, but it is one of the more epic platformers from back in the day. Even if you look at Rayman Legends, some of the ones that they're still coming out with currently, they are very well-made platformers. Resident Evil Director's Cut. I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan, especially from that time period because of the way the camera is. But I'd probably replay it. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Silent Hill make it on here too, but I don't think Konami would have given them the rights to 2 games for this. And I'm sure they had to probably ask for a lot of the rights. That's also why you didn't get a Spyro, because they just remade Spyro, and that's also why Crash Bandicoot isn't on here. But, obviously, because of those reasons, Activision isn't really going to sacrifice their stuff. Cool Borders 2, did I say that one or skip it? That was a really good snowboarding game, by the way, if you've never played it. Like, really good. I've never played Wild Arms, but I've heard a lot about it, so I'd probably give that a play. Twisted Metal. Obviously, Twisted Metal is one of those iconic PlayStation franchises. One you might not ever get again. They've shown no hints of one for the PlayStation 4 generation, and, well, this generation is almost over. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. Easily one of my favorite games today, especially when you're talking about Rainbow Six Siege. I also did enjoy some of the earlier ones, and I never got to play the original game, and I would like to. Like, it would be an enjoyable experience for me. I'm sure it's going to be rough around the edges, and it probably didn't age very well, just like most old school shooters. But yeah, I would like to play it. My favorite Tom Clancy game outside of Siege, I did like the Vegas series. Those were pretty good, but I also absolutely loved Rainbow Six Siege 3. Rainbow Six 3. However you say that one. It was the one that had like 2 numbers in the title. It was really confusing. Rainbow Six 3. Maybe that was what it was called? It was on PS2. It was fantastic. It was a really good game. It was probably one of my favorite shooters out of that console generation. Tekken 3. Not a huge fan of old school fighting games, specifically Tekken. My favorite fighting games are Mortal Kombat and Dead or Alive. Those are the two that I play the most of. If I'm going to play a fighting game, I typically opt for Dead or Alive. I prefer the art of Dead or Alive. I also prefer the fighting style of Dead or Alive, whereas a lot of the other games focus too heavily on combos, and if you're unable to break those combos, you are pretty much going to be screwed, which I'm not a huge fan of. That's why I avoid playing certain friends in Mortal Kombat, because only the elite in Mortal Kombat turn it into, I just killed you with one combo. Siphon Filter plays a sniper. It's a pretty cool game. Obviously I've played that, so I'll play it again. I think I played it on Dreamcast, though. Pretty sure I played it on Dreamcast. Ridge Racer Type 4. That is one of the bigger racing games at the time. I know a lot of people were a little pissed that there's no Gran Turismo. To be fair, on the original PlayStation, Ridge Racer was honestly probably the bigger racing franchise. So I guess I'm kind of happy to see that on there. And then the last one I'm kind of happy to see on there, Persona, because this is one of the earlier Persona games. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are super excited to get to play one of the earlier ones. Obviously, the newer Persona, Persona 4, was a huge success on PlayStation, and I know a lot of you guys even recommended that I play it, even though I'm not a huge JRPG fan. I did make it about halfway through the game before I just stopped. It's just really hard for me to gruel through some JRPGs, though I did find the story to be very interesting, and that is something Persona focuses on, is they have a very unique cast of characters and a very unique story that they are typically telling. So I don't disagree with the inclusion of that, especially since the Persona series has been very, very much so on PlayStation and Nintendo systems. So I think that was a pretty smart inclusion. Especially because when you think of PlayStation, Persona does come to mind for a lot of people. So, I am curious to what your thoughts are. Obviously, I know there are certain games that we would have liked to have seen. However, if there is a game that you think that they should have included where there should have been no licensing issues, so in other words, it's not owned by Activision getting actively rebooted currently, you should let me know in the comments down below. Again, as I said, I am a little bitter about the exclusion of Parasite Eve, But the Japanese version of it is getting Parasite Eve. Actually, there are several games on that list I would swap out for Parasite Eve, but I also understand that Parasite Eve didn't get quite the following here in the US that it did in Japan. It is still a very popular game here, hence the 3rd birthday release of it for the Vita. I believe it was the Vita. Pretty sure it was the Vita. But I mean, that was one of my favorite games from that time period. And it is a top-down shooter game. Again, I don't typically tend to like those too much, but there are certain ones that had enough of a story and just were innovative enough that they really gripped me. Especially when you get attacked by things very early on in Parasite Eve. But it was also one of those multi-disc games, so it was on multiple discs. Let me know what you guys think down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. And if you're new here to the channel, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ding the bell. If you don't ding the bell, it will never let you know when I upload content. So essentially, you're just going to sit there and stagnate. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll have plenty more content coming for you, and stick around.